Did you know that car accidents are the leading cause of death in children? In this video, I'm going to talk to you about the new guidelines that the American Academy of Pediatrics has set forth on car seats in children. Let's talk about that. So this month, the American Academy of Pediatrics put out some new guidelines about car seat safety. These guidelines aren't really big changes, but it's a good opportunity for us to review when you can transition your child from each stage of their car seat. The new change that the Academy of Pediatrics recommended was from when you can transition your child from a rear-facing car seat to a forward-facing car seat. Now, the recommendation that they had previously made was to keep your child rear-facing until they were 2 years of age. Now the recommendation is to keep your child rear-facing as long as they will basically fit in their car seat. So you should look at your car seat manufacturer's manual and see what their height and their weight limits are, and then follow those instructions. So most of those manufacturers say that your car seat weight limit will be up to about 40 pounds. Now in pediatrics, we usually dose medicines by weight rather than by age. And so there's a reason for that. All 2-year-olds are not the same weight. There's a vast difference in sizes of children. And so saying a child should stay in their car seat until the age of 2 doesn't really make a lot of sense, because one 2-year-old could be very, very small and one 2-year-old could be very large. So using a weight recommendation makes a whole lot more sense. So look at your car seat instructions and see what their height and weight recommendations are, and keep your child in that rear-facing car seat until they outgrow their seat. When your baby outgrows their infant seat, move to the next size. So it's important to keep your child rear-facing as long as possible. Now, some parents have some concerns about that. They say, well, my baby's legs are touching the back of the seat. But that's okay, because your baby can bend their legs and their feet can touch the back of the seat, and that's fine. Look at your child sitting at home. How many times is your baby sitting with their legs stretched, completely out? They sit with their legs crossed, they sit with their legs bent all the time. It's not going to hurt your baby to keep their legs bent while they're in their car seat. But this is what we do know. We do know that when a child rides rear-facing, their head, their neck, and their spine are supported by the hard shell of the car safety seat. And in an accident, that car seat is going to take the impact of the accident, and it's going to protect the most vulnerable parts of your child's body, which is their neck and their head and their back. When a child rides forward-facing, their body is restrained, but their head, which is the largest part of their body, is propelled forward, and they still can sustain head and neck and spine injury. The longer you can keep them rear-facing, the better off they will be. Every time you transition your child from one stage in their car seat to the next, from rear-facing to forward-facing to booster, the more risk they have of sustaining an injury in an accident. So when can they transition from forward-facing to their booster? The same guidelines apply. Look at your car seat manufacturer's manual and see what the weight and the height limits are in your forward-facing car seat. When your child outgrows that, then they can move to a booster seat. It usually is around 65 pounds, but that just depends on your car seat, because every car seat manufacturer has different guidelines. And so you have to look at those weight and height limits. Don't be too hasty in moving your child, even though your child may be kicking and screaming and wanting to be moved because they think, I'm a big kid. The safety is what's the most important thing. When they do move to a booster seat, some of those booster seats have a high back and some of them have no back. That's not what's important. What matters is if it's a belt positioning booster. What matters is where the seat belt lies, where the seat belt goes across their neck and chest, and where the lap belt goes across their thighs. You don't want the belt to go across their tummy, and you want it to make sure that it's off their neck. Now, there are some things on the market that will go on the seatbelt and that will just keep the seatbelt off of them. Sometimes people think they can just use those instead of a booster. Those are not approved, and those will not protect your child in an accident. They need to have a booster until they're the right height. So when can they move from their booster? They need to be about 4 feet 9 inches, or between 8 and, it's not or, and between 8 and 12 years of age. So if they're 8 to 12 years of age, but they're not 4 feet 9, they're not tall enough to move out of their booster seat. So make sure that they're meeting all of these criteria. Now, those older kids are going to give you a hard time about that, but that's okay. You have to be the mom, you have to be the dad, you have to protect your child. You don't want to let children pressure you into making a decision that's not safe for them. So follow those guidelines. And then the last thing is, children need to be 13 years of age before they can ride in the front seat. So all children under 13 need to ride in the back seat of the car. And only when they're 13 or older can they ride in the front seat. That's staggering to me. You have to remind yourself about that when you think about your car seats and your car seat safety. Sometimes it's really hard for parents when you have your child in the back of the car and they're turned rear facing and you can't see them and they cry. Sometimes those things lead you to making a decision about turning your car seat around a little bit more prematurely than you would. But you have to remind yourself, a crying baby can get to you really easily. You can't let crying let you make that decision. You have to figure out some way to keep your child entertained in the car. Be creative about some ways to keep your child happy in their car seat. Crying is frustrating, but dying in their car seat can't be reversed. So I've linked for you an article by the American Academy of Pediatrics that gives you so many tips and tricks and great ideas, so many guidelines for car seat safety. Maybe it's a good idea to just go back through everything, how to install your car seat, some really good reminders for car seat safety. It's very all-inclusive. So maybe now's a good idea to go back through all your car seat safety. Sometimes, our car seats get loose and the straps get loose, and maybe you've moved the car seat from time to time, so it's a good idea to go back over all your car seat safety guidelines. So I've linked that below. Take a look at that, and if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them for you. So let's just review everything one more time. Children need to stay rear facing for as long as possible, up into the height and weight limits of your car seat. When you turn them forward facing, they need to stay forward facing as long as possible, up until the weight limits of your car seat. When they move to a booster, they need to stay in their booster seat until they're 4 feet 9 and between the ages of 8 and 12. And all children need to stay in the back seat until they're 13 years old. If you found this information helpful, you can subscribe to this channel and you can hit the little bell and it'll notify you when I upload other videos. They might be on topics like how to get your child to sleep better, or other safety topics, or topics on health. Might be on breastfeeding, or they may be on some self-care topics for you. So I'd appreciate it if you would share these videos with your friends and come back often. I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye-bye.